Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a rant for today. Like I said, it feels good to kind of get it out of your system, you know. So today I was thinking about never ending like code that doesn't take into account a default timeout. And what I mean, have you ever been like on a website or in an app, and what happens? I'm at my desk this time instead of in my sunroom. Oh, there's my pissing off the neighbors clips thing. Yay, cool. Um, uh, and you're in an app, you're on a website, and it just spins forever. Visual Studio does this, the development environment, and like GitHub Copilot. Oh my gosh, every time it does that, uh, and it makes me wonder if you're running any long running operation or any operation that could not return a value. It's effectively asynchronous. Um, why aren't you putting a timeout like on any network call? Something reasonable. Like if it's an API call, it should be returning back in under 10 seconds. So why aren't you setting a default timeout in your API? That I know in .NET, for example, there's a default timeout and it'll throw an exception if you don't get a response back. But I see so many sites that just seem to wait forever. And what happens is there's a spinner and it just runs forever. I've definitely seen this when authentication has timed out. So let's say your credentials are no longer valid, but it doesn't recognize that, it seems, and just spins forever, waiting for an API call that'll never return. Because if you look in the console, you'll see like a 401, but there's a never-ending spinner because it's awaiting, who knows, depending on what you're doing, a promise or some result that never receives. So if you have a spinner, even more so, you should have something that checks like, hey, if I didn't get a response back, because it's not fair to your customer to try figuring out why your site no longer seems to be responding. I know I recently talked about T-Mobile, but this happened on their promotions website. So if you're logged in on the T-Mobile site, like you go to tmobile.com and sign in, uh, it authenticates you. But eventually that times out. Well, in that case, though, the promotion site will just spin forever because it thinks for whatever reason that you're still signed in, but then doesn't realize that you're signed out and redirect you to the login page. It just gets stuck there. And so what I found out is if I go to the T-Mobile site and log in and then visit the promotion site, their site works. It's anyway, my point is that if you're going to deal with asynchronous operations, or definitely if you're going to put a spinner up, that's going to ask generally non-technical users to please wait. Yeah, don't make them wait too long. Be reasonable about it. And that's something I think you should also test for. Now, unlimited time, unlimited budget, right? I mean, sure. Do you have that kind of capacity on your dev team in order to do these sorts of things? Maybe not, but at least add it to the backlog, as a feature that or an enhancement that needs to be addressed, so it doesn't end up out of sight, out of mind. Now, you could argue, well, then our backlog is thousands of items deep. Well, that's a different problem that you have to solve. Uh, that's not a quick answer. That's a development organizational issue. So sometimes if they're just really old tickets, you might need to ask yourself, if there's a nuclear option to wipe them, because no one's ever going to touch them. I'm not saying that's a good solution. I'm just saying at some point you got to you got to come to terms with your backlog. But that is our rant for a different time. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have comments or feedback, let me know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe because, hey, that's, I guess, what you do on YouTube. Thanks. Ciao.